If you're visiting Jacksonville, chances are when you're talking to family and friends who live here, Riverside is one of the locations that will come up in conversation. And that's for good reason. This historical area is home to a lot of shops and restaurants and has a very trendy vibe. Now, it's also a place where a lot of people are choosing to call home here in the city of Jacksonville. Between the day travelers and the local residents here and all the things to do in the area, Riverside really is a hot area to be in. So if you're thinking about moving here in the future, or maybe this is a part of town that you haven't gotten to yet, you may be wondering what all the hype is about. Well, you're in luck because we're here today with another neighborhood tour right here in Riverside. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Zach. I'm a local realtor here in Jacksonville and a longtime Riverside fan. Today, I'm going to be highlighting a couple spots here in the neighborhood to show you exactly why people love it here in Riverside so much. If you want to get connected after watching today's video, feel free to reach out to myself or someone on my team at info@theroccogroup.com. Now let's get into it. Okay, so one area that you're going to hear about a lot is the 5 Points area here in Riverside. It's basically a collection of 5 roads that come together at an intersection right here behind me. I'm not gonna lie, it can get a little chaotic here in 5 Points. You've probably seen already behind me, cars coming from different angles, pedestrians trying to get to other sides of the street, but it's all worth it with the shops and restaurants located here. So like I said, this is an area where all these streets in the neighborhood connect, and it's also a major area for shopping and dining as well. There's really so much to do, see, and eat here in 5 Points, including Mexican food, street Asian food, and it also has clothing, antique stores, 2 rooftop bars here in the area, and then also a vintage movie theater that still operates today. Now, let's say you're meeting family and friends at one of the local spots here at 5 Points. It's best when you come to know that evenings and weekends get super busy, like I said before. So it's best to be mindful of, having an Uber ready or, know where your parking is, because parking does get full here, especially Friday nights and midday Saturday. And be prepared to walk a little. This area is very walkable. All in all, this is an area that has a lot of foot traffic, and 5 Points really does show why people love Riverside so much. If you're anywhere near 5 Points, definitely check it out. Now let's head out to our next location. So if bar dining or street food is not really your thing and you're looking for more of a fine dining experience, this next spot might intrigue you. Welcome to River and Post. This is one of the more memorable fine dining restaurants here in Jacksonville. And it's often frequented by locals here, but also people who are just coming into the city for the day. Now, if you're anything like my buyers, you're probably wondering where the best spots in town are for food. And this one is definitely one that gets a lot of attention from food bloggers and Facebook groups as well. Our team loves this spot, but let's head up to the rooftop where I'll tell you more about it. So River and Post's claim to fame is definitely its amazing views of downtown Jacksonville. There's nothing better than coming up to this rooftop bar and dining area and maybe having a couple drinks with friends or a nice meal with the family. Now, as far as the food is concerned, you won't be disappointed here. On the lunch menu, I definitely recommend getting started with some appetizers like the fried calamari or the tomato basil bisque. So you're definitely gonna have a great selection here of salads, burgers, sandwiches, and seafood on the lunch menu. But dinner really is where it's at here at River and Post. And of course, brunch is popular in the Riverside area as well for local residents here and people visiting. Be sure to stop by if you can every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 4 to check out their brunch options. All right, guys, we've arrived here at King Street in the heart of Riverside. As you can see, this area is not as busy as 5 Points, but a lot of people come down from 5 Points. And the main reason is this little shop behind me. It's called Keg and Coin. Let's go inside and I can show you why. So Keg and Coin is a local fusion of 2 things everybody loves: beer and vintage arcade games. They have about 15 different beers that you can choose from on draft, as well as bottled canned options that you can take with you when you go. Happy hour is Monday through Thursday from 12 to 4. They also host video game tournaments here, as well as Saturday morning cartoons. If you want to hop in on a Saturday, they're definitely showing cartoons that time. And of course, the main draw here is gonna be the arcade games. They have new and vintage games here, all in excellent condition. So one thing to note about Keg & Coin is that usually when you walk in an arcade, you have to have a virtual card that you use to pay for the actual game itself. Here you actually use coins. True to their name, they have an actual coin machine and all their games are playable with just a few quarters. For any pinball fans out there, this is probably the best location in all of Jacksonville just because of how many selections that they have. Right now we're here during the day, but really Friday evenings, weekend nights, this is the place to be with arcade games going, people having a great time, neon lights ablaze everywhere. You really need to check this out if you're ever over here for a weekend night or a weeknight as well. For our last stop here in Riverside, before we touch on some residential topics, we stepped off the street a little bit since it started raining just a little bit to highlight Stockton Street. This is an area with 3 notable shops. It's gonna be Bold Bean Coffee, Tiger Records, and Zen Cog Biking. So Bold Bean is one of Riverside's signature coffee spots. It's definitely a fan favorite among our team. It's a great place to work, study, or do some homework. And even with the family, it's a great place to just get an extra shot of caffeine while you're walking around Riverside. And of course, right next to Bold Bean Coffee, you have Tiger Records. Now, Riverside does get a reputation for being a trendy neighborhood, and it's because of shops like this that give it that label. This record store is a great locally owned business here in Riverside. They specialize in selling both vintage and new vinyl records. It's a great place to browse and buy records and tapes. And definitely be sure to check out the merch before heading out. Along with Tiger Records, you have Zen Cog Bicycle Company. This is really a great shop for anyone that's looking to get a tune-up on your bike or that's looking to pick up a bike yourself, as Riverside is a very walkable and bicycle-friendly neighborhood.
Beautiful. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, guys, now that you've seen a little bit of the community here in Riverside, let's talk about the residential side of things. Now, you may be sold on this area already, and you may be interested in renting or buying, but there are a few things to consider when thinking about moving into this neighborhood. Now, I know what we've showed you today on our tour has been mostly commercially developed shops and restaurants, but don't think that's all that Riverside has to offer. Another reason people love Riverside is the residential areas along the river and beyond. So let's talk about what's here. So at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Riverside is a historic area, and that's really the way that it feels. Driving through, it has a very historic layout, and the architecture is historic as well. There are a lot of smaller lots, they're really close together, and if you really want a small city feel in the big city of Jacksonville, Riverside is the place to go for you. When we were shooting earlier today in 5 Points, you may have seen a lot of bikers, a lot of cars going by, and a lot of people, walking their dogs. And that's a big aspect of this Riverside community. It's very walkable. There's tons of opportunities for biking through parks. Everything's so close together that it really does take a short time to get from place to place. Walking and biking are a big part of the lifestyle here if that's what you're into, but you also have access to main roads, the interstate, that sort of thing. So you're always very close to home, but you're always able to get out into the city as well. On the note of convenience, there is a shopping center in Riverside. It's in between Memorial Park and 5 Points. And this is really where you're gonna go for Publix, any grocery needs that you have, any day-to-day needs, and a few chain restaurants as well. You'll find yourself frequenting that area a lot if you're a resident here. Now, I mentioned earlier how you're really close to the interstate when living here in Riverside, and that really allows you to go out into a lot of the city. So, when you're going to St. John's Town Center, that's about 15 to 20 minutes away, depending on traffic. Beaches are about 30 minutes away. The airport is around 20 minutes away. And then you're also really close to Southside Boulevard, which houses corporate offices as well as local businesses. And finally, if you work in the downtown area, living in Riverside gives you a lot of easy access to and from work, as you don't have to cross any major bridges. There's so much more to learn about the Riverside neighborhood, and we've only shown you a glimpse today on our neighborhood tour. If you're someone who is thinking of moving here, it definitely will help to have a local expert on your side assisting you with the move. Feel free to reach out to myself or my team at info@theroccogroup.com. That wraps up our neighborhood tour of the Riverside area. Leave a like below if you found this video helpful. And feel free to subscribe for more content from all over Northeast Florida. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.